A lot of people think you're the most powerful man in Washington.
The tax issue is the most powerful issue in American politics going back to the Tea Party. People say, oh, Grover Norquist has power. No, Grover Norquist and Americans for Tax Reform focus on the tax issue. The tax issue is a powerful issue.
Grover Norquist is trying to be modest. Since creating Americans for Tax Reform at Ronald Reagan's behest back in 1985, Norquist has been responsible more than anyone else for rewriting the dogma of the Republican Party.
The Republicans won't raise your taxes. We haven't had a Republican vote for an income tax increase since 1990.
And this was your doing?
I helped. Yeah.
It began with a simple idea of getting Republicans all over the country to sign an oath called the Taxpayer Protection Pledge, promising their constituents that they would never, ever vote for anything that would make their taxes go up.
Speaker Gingrich's tax pledge back in 1998.
And once they signed the pledge, Grover Norquist never forgets. The more signatures he's collected, the more his influence has grown.
I think to win a Republican primary, it is difficult to imagine somebody winning a primary without taking the pledge.
The signatories not only include more than 270 members of Congress, but all of the Republican presidential candidates with the lone exception of John Huntsman. Grover Norquist has been called both the dark wizard of the right's anti-tax cult and the single most effective conservative activist in the country. He is a libertarian ideologue who believes that Washington is controlling our lives through the taxes it raises to fund big government. And he said that he wants to shrink it to the size where it could be drowned in a bathtub.
You want to drown it in the bathtub?
No, we want it down to the size to where it would fit in a bathtub. And then it could worry about what we were up to.
I mean, you did say that your ultimate ambition was to chop it in half and then shrink it again to where we were at the turn of the century. You're talking about 1900, not 2000.
Well, I think
8% of GDP.
Yeah, we function in this country with government at 8% of GDP for a long time and quite well.
That was before Social Security, it was before Medicare, it was before welfare assistance, unemployment assistance. Is that the federal government you envision?
Each of these government programs was set up supposedly, in name, to solve a problem. Okay, do they solve the problem? Could the problem be better solved through individual initiative? I mean, I think we found under welfare that we were doing more harm than good.
Do you feel the government has any obligation to the poor or the elderly or the unemployed?
Yeah, it should stop stepping on them, kicking them, and making their lives more difficult.
Grover Norquist is not interested in compromise. He likes things ugly and takes no prisoners. Those who refuse to sign the pledge or backslide are subjected to primary fights against well-funded opponents backed by Norquist.
These are people in North Carolina who voted for a tax increase when they said they wouldn't. And down here in blue is which ones were defeated in the next election.
Is there any set of circumstances in which you would condone a tax increase or release people from the pledge?
The pledge is not to me, it's to the voters. So an elected official who says, I think I want to break my pledge, he doesn't look at me and say that. He looks at his voters and say that. That's why some of them look at their voters, don't want to say that, and they go, well, how about you? Could you release me from my pledge? No, I can't help you. You didn't promise me anything.
But you're the keeper of the pledge.
We remind your voters that you took the pledge.
You are the ones that are going to retaliate if they break the pledge.
Oh, no. The voters will retaliate. We may inform the voters. But let's say the voters
inform the voters with hundreds of thousands of dollars in campaign or educational expenditures to point out the fact that they broke the pledge.
If necessary.
I mean, you make it pretty clear. If someone breaks the pledge, you're going to do everything you can to get rid of them.
To educate the voters that they raise taxes. And again, we educate people
to get rid of them.
To encourage them to go into another line of work, like shoplifting or bank robbing, where they have to do their own stealing.
You've got them by the short hairs.
The voters do, yeah.
Grover Norquist says he's not losing any sleep over the defections. He's convinced that the Republicans have no intention of raising taxes, and he still has sign markers from 279 members of Congress promising that they will never let it happen.
Most of the Republicans I know are very pleased that we make it easy for them to credibly make that commitment. They're smiling when they get the picture taken with me and the pledge. Not grumpy, smiling.
Do you believe that everybody who smiles at a press conference is actually happy?
No, but many. There may be one or two that are grumpy, and if they wish to provide their names, we'll focus on their states and upcoming elections.
So, I mean, you've got them coming and you've got them going if they're a Republican. If they sign the pledge and break it, they're toast. And if they don't sign the pledge, they're probably toast.
But if they sign it and keep it, they win the primary, they win the general, they get to govern. And I've helped make all this possible.